Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and this is the Frontline Changes report. Major updates coming from the Kursk front, a lot of updates and geolocations, Ukrainian concessions, and basically shit is going down over in Kursk. And it's super Kursk, and this is actually somewhat corroborating the analysis that I've done together with Grok on the the lifespan of the Kursk front, because we predicted around 6 months. Due to the manpower, what the Ukrainians can do in terms of manpower, what they have, the replacement rate and whatnot, and it looks like we are going to be on track by the look of it. Anyway, you can see two big chunks, the northern flank and the western flank both have some major updates. So we start off with the one at the western flank. Russian forces basically have entered into the Sumy region. This is mapped by geolocation. The geolocation of Russian forces basically on the verge of entering Pasivka. So they are merely around 2 kilometers, or the closest point is around 1.7 kilometers away from Basivka. As the Russian forces are attacking towards this leads to massive updates around changes around this front line, as the Russian forces officially, with corroboration of geolocation, to have entered into the Sumy region. The movement is almost 2 kilometers deep from the Russian side, and they are moving into Novenke and Basivka, and there is also information of the Russians attacking at Zuravka. So this is a massive update. This comes after yesterday. We have the massive update over in the southern flank, over at Krylovka, and together this combines, develops into a massive pincer. And this is one very toxic and very venomous pincer, because this, as I mentioned many times, is the only main road into the Kursk front by the Ukrainians. They basically set themselves up for failure by creating a front line that only have one major road to allow them to enter into this front, and they try to hold the front for so long. If the Russians manage to cut this off in the pincer attack, which is looking pretty likely, the entire Kursk front is encircled. We are talking about perhaps 20,000, 30,000 Ukrainian troops will be entirely enveloped, and I believe they're going to make it a point to destroy all of 20,000, 30,000 troops. I think this is pretty serious. Anyway, I don't want to go too far into analysis, but just want to note, though, because there won't be a sit back for today, it will only be tomorrow by the look of it. So, but the front line between the two sides is merely 12 kilometers wide. So, and we are talking about the 2 kilometer advance here, another 2-3 kilometers advance here, like this. The one in the southern flank is about 4 kilometers deep. This one is 2 kilometers, but so there's 6 kilometers, 12 kilometers apart. We are talking about 2 days if they continue at this rate. Clearly, they wouldn't be able to go through at this rate, but that's the point I'm trying to say, is that it's getting really dangerous for the Ukrainians, and the Ukrainians will have to redeploy to take care of this sector, and this would mean that they might have to abandon positions inside Kursk. So let's see how this goes. But I said the lifespan of the Ukrainian incursion into the Kursk front is not going to be more than 6 months. 6 months is like the max that they can go, but lesser than that, they're gonna collapse. So anyway, over in the northern flank, massive frontline changes, massive collapse. Ukrainian mapping have acknowledged this entire chunk here has been lost, all the way from Marevka, and also we have geolocation of Russian forces at Nikolaevka, and also previous geolocation at Sorokina. In combinations means that these two towns has also been entirely captured by the Russian forces. So this is a very fast progress. The entire line has been abandoned by the Ukrainians, by the look of it. So the northern flank is collapsing. Malaya Loknia is going to be very hard to hold. As I mentioned before, the road, the entire road south of this position is very vulnerable. From Loknia, the Russian forces could actually cut off the two roads. and especially the the road here, especially this railway line. So this is a very, very vulnerable area with the Russian advance in this sector. Means that yeah, we're going to see a very, very fast collapse. But anyway, I go into analysis again. Anyway, the depth of the frontline change is around 2.5 kilometers at Nikolaevka, and from Novaya Sorokhina all the way to the Viktorovka region is 3.64 kilometers. This is the front line. And in the northern flank, this collapse is pretty big as well. The Ukrainian basically just abandoned like 2.7 kilometers in terms of the front line mapping. And I believe that this is just only the smaller range. I believe the Ukrainians is now retreating even further back. So this basically corroborates the claim that the Russians are now on a massive offensive over the Kursk front. And when that's why when I talk about especially during a sit rep, I say that like the Zaporizhzhia is not the full blown offensive. Because when there's a full-blown offensive, this is what happens. You can really tell, by the advances. The Ukrainians on themselves are on some major offensive, which I will cover it soon. So after this northern flank, the next front line change is over at Zabalka, over at the Toretsk front. So this is Donetsk. Toretsk is around here. This is what I mean. The Ukrainians, as I mentioned, have incurred into Toretsk and Zabalka. And at Zabalka, we have, so in case you do not know, this is Zabalka. This is the district at Toretsk city. The Ukrainian forces have been geolocated in a new place, which means that Ukrainians have really done some very deep incursion as much as they can. However, this area here, they are met with Russian forces. What the video shows, the Russian forces basically throwing, I believe, is those anti-tank explosive, into the building, and then they run away, and then the whole building just exploded in a massive explosion. It might be this house here in that footage, because the source footage is like there's 2 or 3 explosions. So but that just shows that the Russians are in the region. So the battles is not World War II style battles. You're not going to see like company size of troops facing off each other. We are talking about squad size fighting each other. Such is modern warfare. It's a very, very unusual situation. Maybe in another 100 years we're gonna have like one-on-ones. It's like you're gonna have like mech warriors, one-on-one battles, and the one battle between the one soldier and another soldier in a mech suit will just decide the battle of one city. It could be the kind of situation like Gundam. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So anyway, so that's the incursion. The distance from the previous front line is at most 250 meters. It's not near. In the urban region, it's pretty deep. So after Zabalka, the next front line change is over at Zaporizhzhia, over at the Pokrovsk front. In this region here, in the south of Zaporizhzhia, east of Bodanivka, Russian forces has been geolocated at the end of the tree line, confirming the Russian advance south of Zaporizhzhia, causing this frontline change as the Russian forces is now expanding their control around this sector as they're going to push southward and towards Bodanivka. So this distance traveled is around 2.39 kilometers. So pretty decent. That comes at the same time when we say that there's hardly much activities over the Pokrovsk front. This is still shows that there is actually activities. Maybe the reporting is there's just not much reporting about that sector. And one final frontline change is over at Constantinople. Ukrainian forces has been geolocated inside of Constantinople, which means that this invalidated previous front line. As the latest update now shows that the Ukrainians have retaken most of Constantinople. This not entirely. The Russians could potentially still on the eastern part, having some foothold in the forward operating position in around here, but the Ukrainians have taken back some grounds. So that's all for all the frontline changes. And also we're gonna do some calculation in terms of the updates and drop this one. So as clearly there's not a lot of front lines that we have frontline changes over the past 24 hours plus maybe 36 hours. The biggest, of course, everything is in Kursk. Kursk is the big one with 20 over square kilometers of frontline changes. So do some maths. The maths is going to be quite simple because I did all the difficult ones already. So it's basically 20.88 plus 2.11. So this is 22.99 square kilometers captured by the Russian forces. This is pretty big because how we judge is around 10 square kilometers a day based on the usual trending, and anything that is way above the 10 square kilometers, we can kind of tell that the Russians have basically sped up their advances or the offensive operations. And this is all at Kursk. We are not even talking about all the other front lines where we don't have reports. The Ukrainians did not talk about them. They're only focusing on Kursk. Clearly, there is definitely some kind of advance in other places at the same time because the Russians are doing a lot of offensive all at the same time. And so this is really major one. And also the Ukrainian mathematics, the Ukrainian calculation is 0.07 plus 0.67 is only 0.74 square kilometers. So as much as the Ukrainians are trying their best, this is very limited, as the Ukrainians are pushing back at where the Russians are very strong at, instead of trying to hit somewhere that is much more softer, which the Ukrainians keep doing. They keep hitting the Russians at where they are strong. Although they did try to find softer lines to hit back, like at Toretsk, they find that the lines are a bit weak, they punch all the way in, but they still get themselves trapped into very heavy battle. But yeah, that's the life they get. So anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe. 100,000. Let's go. And I'll see you guys in the next update.